Hello guys and welcome back to my channel. Today I want to cover the newest warrior build for World vs World. This is a DPS build. The numbers are kinda insane. I don't think this build is like super strong. Like right now it's super strong because the numbers are just insane, but I think the numbers will be nerfed and this build really doesn't provide a lot of utility. The damage is not that easy to land, except for the skill 4 of the spear and the F1 of the spear, which are too strong right now in my opinion, so probably they will be nerfed in the numbers, but for now we can enjoy it and it's overpowered and it can really unleash a lot of damage super easily. This build will require the newest expansion, Jantir's Wilds, and also the spear. The spear is the main weapon of this build, like 90% of your damage is done from the spear. The greatsword is a normal greatsword on the warrior and we all know that it's decent but like not the best. There are several other builds on the warrior with the greatsword, but still the spear is super strong and it works a lot on this build, so let's try to cover everything, and if I don't, please leave a comment and I will fix it. The build is arms, strength and discipline. We don't run berserker because the F1 on the berserker spear is a projectile, so it's super useless in War vs World, and also we don't run spellbreaker because we would just lose some damage without having anything back, so this is the maximum damage output possible with this build, with the warrior spear. We run arms, we have this minor trait, Fury will grant us 5% more critical chance, and also we will get Fury whenever we swap weapons, once every 15 seconds, so with this trait, Fury will grant us 25 critical chance instead of 20. Then we have Signet Mastery. Signets grant a stacking ferocity boon on use. This ferocity boon lasts for 1 minute, which is a lot, and it's 100 ferocity per signet. Maximum stacks 5 stacks, which is huge, so you can get like 500 ferocity. It's an insane damage boost. And also we will also activate Lesser Signet of Might once every 20 seconds whenever we hit an enemy which is below 50% HP, and this signet will grant us 1 signet of ferocity stack, also 10 stacks of unblockable and 5 stacks of might, so this is a very strong trait. Then we have Sundering Burst. Burst skills inflict vulnerability if they hit and inflict additional vulnerability if the attack is a critical hit. The attack is always a critical hit and I will get to it in a second. There is this trait, basically every burst skill will be a critical hit, and also after we hit a critical hit with our burst skills, we will also get a buff on ourselves which will grant us some ferocity and also critical chance increase by 100%, so basically every hit will be, for example, if we hit a 3 level an adrenaline stage 3 burst skill, we will get for 4 seconds this buff where every hit we land on enemies will be a critical. So ideally we don't need any precision on this build, but I will get into it when I cover the gears. For now, just keep in mind this trait. We will have full critical hits on the F1, and after the F1 hits we will have some seconds of guaranteed critical hits. On strength we have this minor trait which is kinda important. We will get some might each time we roll, and roll dodging will also hit enemies and every hit will grant us might, and also it's unblockable, very decent minor trait. And then the other 2 traits here are kinda useless, so I would run peak performance. We will get 3% damage increase, and if we use a physical skill we also get an additional 7% damage increase for 6 seconds. And I saw some people running this healing skill which is Mending. It also will remove 5 conditions from yourself and you will get this buff, 7% damage increase for 6 seconds, but I tried this build around and I prefer running to the limit. I will get to it really soon. Then we have these burst skills, restore endurance on hit, super strong. We will have additional dodges. Then here these two traits are both very good, but I think we don't run Greatsword a lot, and also 120 power is not that much compared to the amount of ferocity and vitality we get with this trait, Great Fortitude. And also the good part of this trait, Forceful Greatsword, is that we can get some might whenever we hit enemies, like 50% chance. I think it's good, but I think Great Fortitude is better. Not by a lot, but it's better. Then we have Might applied to you grants more power, your critical hit chance is increased. So basically we have an additional 5% critical chance, very strong minor trait. And also Might will grant us 40 of power instead of 30. The base might power is 30. With this trait we reach 40 per stack. So when we are at 25 stacks we have 250 more power compared to other builds which don't have this trait. And then we have Berserker's Power, gain increased strike damage when we use a burst skill. This damage increase is based on your adrenaline. So if we hit an enemy with a full stage adrenaline 3, you see, we will get for 15 seconds plus 21% damage on every other skill, on everything basically. So this is on this build basically a permanent 21% damage increase, because we will have burst skills at least like 2 every 15 seconds, so stay safe. On the discipline trait line we have this minor trait, gain adrenaline on weapon swap, very important because we will swap around, we have a low cooldown on the swap. And then we have Warrior Sprint, basically 3% damage increase, and also our movement skill will remove Immobilize. The movement skills are, for example, this one, the skill 3 from the Greatsword, or the skill 5. Then this minor trait, our weapon swap will happen once every 5 seconds, which is huge to swap around. You use every skill on the spear, swap to Greatsword, F1, skill 3, swap back, spear is ready again, so super strong. Then we have Destruction of the Empowered, one of the best traits in the game to do damage in War vs Sword, especially because the enemies will have a lot of boons on themselves. So let's say they have 10 boons, you will deal 30% damage increase. Hopefully your Scourges and Chronomancers or whatever will do boon corruption and they don't have 10 boons on them, but still if they do, you will do a lot of damage, 3% per boon. It's huge. Gain might on weapon swap, burst skills, gain reduced recharge. Okay, we will have a lower recharge on the F1. And then here, burst mastery, burst skills deal more damage, 7% damage increase, grant swiftness, and most importantly, restore a portion of adrenaline spent. Let's say we run a 3 bars adrenaline skill on the enemy, we will get 1 bar back. So it's huge because this build will need adrenaline. Okay, for the gears, let's keep in mind this trait, burst precision. Ideally, with this trait, we will land a critical hit on our burst skill, and then we will have 4 seconds of guaranteed critical hits, so we wouldn't need precision, but it doesn't work like that in the real world, in real fights. So, in my opinion, you shouldn't be running Valkyrie. I know Valkyrie is a strong option, sometimes I recommend it because you don't need precision if you have traits which will give you critical chance guaranteed 100%, but in this case you will not hit your burst skills a lot, like the F1 is ranged, it's okay, but sometimes you will be on cooldown on this skill, and the Greatsword F1 you have to be really close to the enemies, so it's not like you can spam your F1s and you can get this buff permanently. So in my opinion, you should run something like or Marauder or Dragons. I am running full Dragons because I also checked some other builds around on this build, some other versions I mean, and I think Dragon will grant us a lot of ferocity, and Marauder will grant more precision, guaranteed critical hits all the time, but still, if we count this trait, also, the activation of the Signet of Fury will grant us 360 precision, which is a lot, and also we have a decent critical chance on the base critical chance, so I think with Dragon we are almost guaranteed to land every hit on a critical hit, and I don't think the trade-off of running Marauder is worth it. Marauder you will crit every time, but the lost ferocity is a lot. You lose like 400 ferocity, I think, maybe even more. So in my opinion, I would run full dragons, which is power major, ferocity major, and then precision and vitality minor. So I hope you understood what I said. I know it's a bit intricate. We have almost 100% critical chance all the time if we have this trait here, this skill here, we have fury. So dragons work. Superior rune of the Dragon Hunter, power and ferocity. You can also run Scholar if you already have Scholar. The difference is abysmal. Then on the spear we run Superior Sigil of Force and Superior Sigil of Bloodlust. On the Greysword, Force and Hydromancy. Hydromancy is really strong on the melee situation because not only it hits for a lot of damage, but also it will grant us, let's see, you see, some adrenaline, almost a full bar on 3 enemies. If we hit 5 enemies, it's basically 1.5 bars almost. So it's really good for the adrenaline generation. And then every trinket, of course, is dragons. And then the relic, currently I'm running Relic of Fireworks. I'm not really sure about it. The main damage will come from the F1 and the skill 4. The skill 4 is the only skill which will proc your firework relic. I was lost. So, but also it's the skill which does more damage, the most damage on all the kits you have here. So maybe you can prioritize this skill with the firework relic. Otherwise, some people I saw they run Isgarren, which is 10% additional damage to enemies you dodge an attack from. And also you have the Relic of the Warrior, which will decrease by an additional second your weapon swap. I think this one is kinda useless, so in my opinion Isgarren or Fireworks, or maybe even Thief, which is 5% critical, 5% damage increase if you hit enemies with your skills. It's up to you. In my opinion, Isgarren or Fireworks are the best. The utility skills, as I already mentioned, I run to the limit because it's 100% endurance gain on yourself and on your allies. Also, full adrenaline, you press it, you reach full adrenaline immediately, so it's an additional burst skill. Sometimes you will run out of adrenaline, you have the Signet of Fury, okay, but sometimes it's not enough, like you use it, you use your burst skill, you are in a range situation, you don't know what to press, you have no adrenaline. I think to the limit is a nice filler. Then we have Signet of Might, 10 stacks of Unblockable, 10 stacks of Might, Signet of Ferocity for 1 minute, of course, and your attacks are unblockable. And so this is super strong to hit your F1 for sure. You should use it before your F1 on the spear or on the Greysword. Signet of Fury improves precision and also gain adrenaline and improve your precision and ferocity when you press it actively for 4 seconds. And also full adrenaline, and it's a Signet, of course, so it stacks with this trait here together with the Signet of Might. Then the Doliac Signet, I'm not super sure about this, but it's a break stun, it's stability, also it will heal you a bit, and also of course is a Signet, so in my opinion this could be the best choice because also the other utilities are kinda bad on the warrior. Maybe you could go for Signet of Stamina to remove the conditions and also gain some endurance. Also the condition meta right now is strong, so you could have this one to remove the conditions. 10 stacks of stability will get removed really soon, like you just need 1 corrupt to remove the whole 10 stacks. But still, I like it, and it's a Signet, it works for this trait. And then on the elite skill, I saw some people running Signet of Rage for an additional Signet, and also it will generate adrenaline passively while in fight. This could be the trick. If you run Signet of Rage, probably you will not need to the limit. You can go for Mending and Signet of Rage. If you prefer the Battle Standard, like I do, run Battle Standard, of course. It's super strong because it applies also the buffs, you see, Might, Fury and Swiftness, and when you drop it, it's a combo finisher blast, and most importantly, it will stomp enemies and revive allies, so this can really turn the fight. I would suggest to wait for the enemy Scourge to run their transfusion, to proc their transfusion. They will proc downed enemies on them, and then you cast your War Banner onto the downies and they are dead. let's take a look at the spear skills. Since it's a new weapon, I will not cover the greatsword, everybody knows that. Okay, the auto attack is a projectile, it kinda bounces, it's a projectile, so it's kinda useless in War vs Sword. The skill 2 is a good skill. You drop a spear from the sky, and after the first hit there will be a second hit, and the enemies closer to the middle of this second hit will take additional damage. And then we have the skill 3, which is another projectile. It's a decent damage, it also pierces and applies immobilize and daze on the enemy. On the first enemy you will apply the daze. And then we have the skill 5, jump up and evade attacks, then swipe forward, sending a wave of air in front of you that pushes you backward. The first enemy struck is launched, so basically it's an evade and a CC. I skipped the skill 4 because it's the best skill and I want to cover it in a separate way. Okay, basically the skill 4, you target some enemy, and after 1 second some spears start to drop onto the enemy and also on the targets around him. So it's a huge damage dealer because it's not a projectile. You just need to press it and then you can walk around, and this skill will work for you and do damage in a really short matter of time. And also the cooldown is not really that high, and the damage number is insane, as I was already saying at the start of the video, like 3k. All the hits, I know the hits can be dodged, but I think let me show you how fast this is. Also F1 and skill 4, you see how fast this is. It's on 5 targets. Maybe it will be nerfed, I think, on the damage aspect, or maybe on the targets aspect, I don't know, but right now it's too strong. And then we have the F1 of the spear. This is not a projectile, by the way, even if it could seem. So let's see it. You jump in the air, you are on evasion also during this jump, you drop this and the spear will collide on the ground and explode, and every wall of reflection will not work. The damage is kinda solid, especially if you make it unblockable with this skill. Let's see it again. You see F1 and then skill 4, it will channel for a bit, like the half of second, and then you have a 1 second fuse time to start it, and after that the damage is done. On the greatsword, the main damage dealer is of course the F1 and the skill 3, which is also the immobilize, and the only skill on the skill from the 1 to 5 which you can hit properly and easily. So the greatsword is just for the full melee situations if you don't have the spear. Otherwise the spear is miles better than the greatsword. You see how easy it is to damage this, and also I will cover it in the commentary right now. This is the clip you were seeing at the beginning of this video. Okay, we are engaging the enemies. The first thing you should be doing is activating your 2 signets of Fury and of Might, so you get full adrenaline, and also you get the ferocity and precision burst from the signet of Fury, and most importantly the unblockable stacks from the signet of Might. The first thing you should be doing is the F1, so you hit enemies, you see like almost 10k on most of them, and some other also 10k and a half and so on. It's a huge damage from ranged in an AoE and also unblockable. Then after we hit the F1 we will get guaranteed critical chance on every skill for like 4 seconds, because we used a 3-stage adrenaline burst skills, and also we will get 21% damage increase because of the trait on the strength trait line. At this point what you need to do is just to cast your skill 4 basically if you are in rage, otherwise you cast your skill 2 and skill 3. Okay, let's see what I do here. Okay, I have this guy targeted, sorry. Try to always target people which are inside the enemy Zerg. You see, for example, this guy here is a bad target because the rain of spear will just go on him and not on enemies around him. So just target someone which is inside the Zerg, so you will target 5 people. Let's see how much the damage is. Okay, you see skill 4, bam. You see how much damage it can really deal if the enemies are stacked, sorry. Okay, skill 4, skill 2, you see. Okay, the skill 3 I didn't hit it because it's a projectile. At this point I need to wait for my F1 again, because these skills took a while to cast, so I have the F1 almost ready. Don't swap to Greysword, and also it's a ranged situation, don't ever swap to Greysword, otherwise you are just useless. Okay, F1 again, and then we are going melee. F1 of the Greysword, skill 3, and I run back, War Banner. I stomped one guy, I think. Maybe it wasn't the best War Banner I could cast, but it is what it is. At this point we are going melee again, so maybe I should wait a bit before swapping to the spear again, because the most important skill, which is the skill 4 on the spear, has a 20 seconds cooldown, and right now it wouldn't be ready. So since we are going melee, we should go for the F1 on the Greysword, and maybe then we can swap to spear. Okay, I think I failed the F1 on the Greysword. I cast my Signet. Okay, everything is ready again on the spear. F1, you see, like 10k and a half. It's insane how easy it is to land this damage and how high the damage is. And then skill 4 is ready again. I targeted this guy. The spears are dropping on them. At this point I used my skill 5 because I had nothing left. I know it's almost a useless skill. And then F1 again. F1 on the Greysword, skill 3, dodging around to hit the enemies and get might from the minor trait on strength. F1 again, F1 again, I have my skill 4 ready again, and the fight is over. Okay guys, this is all for today's video. Please consider leaving a like and a subscribe to the channel to show me your appreciation and your support, so you can help the channel grow. I hope you enjoyed this build. And I know it's kind of weird, we run Core Warrior, it feels like 2012, I know, but still the skill 4 is super strong, the F1s are strong, we'll need all the trait lines on the Core Warrior, so no reason to run the Berserker or the Spellbreaker. Have fun, enjoy this build before it gets nerfed, because I think it will do. I know you can see more damage on the Holosmiths and others, but this one is just too strong in my opinion. Have a great night, and please, let's see you on to the next video. Bye bye.